So, in this video, I want to talk about why do people pull out their phones instead of helping someone they see being harmed by law enforcement. This is a question I've seen all over social media and the internet, and I thought about it, and it brought to my mind a particular psychological term that I learned while I was in school that one of my professors liked to talk about. He found it fascinating. And I also want to look at some other things that I just instinctively know to be true. So the first reason, from what I see, people do not get involved or stop what is going on when this type of situation is taking place is because most people who are going on their day-to-day routine, they're not prepared for that. They're not prepared to experience that. So a lot of times when something like that starts taking place, they go into shock. And that shock is a deep shock because all our lives we've been taught to obey and stay out of the police way, let them do their job and so forth. But that comes into play when a person enters that shock because they were totally unprepared. And then there's this timing thing in that too. A person will initially, sometimes also while in shock, quickly rationalize, oh, maybe they're doing their job, or maybe this person did something wrong, or maybe they're doing their they're getting the bad guy. We grew up seeing cops and robbers or whatever that show was on television, and this is how a lot of people have been programmed to think. And a lot of time it is the case. People want to believe that something is being done for the good of society when they see police interfering or dealing with someone. So that, on top of the shock and not being prepared to witness a potential violent act, right there causes people to freeze, a freeze response. Now, when a situation prolongs and a person sees that it's going, I think I cut out. A situation prolongs and a person sees it's going further than that, they feel helpless. And because of the way most people have been taught, everybody knows it's like a no-no to try to do anything to a police officer. Matter of fact, we're taught that they're supposed to be helping us. And a lot of time, depending on where you come from, that's what you will see. When a police officer show up, they're there to help or protect. That is depending on where you're coming from. Some people come up in environments where when the police show up, that means something bad finna happen to somebody in the area of the neighborhood, depending on what kind of police you're dealing with. But a lot of time, because of this fear, a person will feel helpless, and the only thing they feel like they can do is pull out that phone. What is happening in that situation? And there's also another term that takes place as well when there are multiple people around when this type of situation is happening. And that's called the bystander effect. And this is when a situation, a traumatic event or situation is taking place where there are multiple people around, no one will, sometimes people won't know that something actually bad is happening. And then there's a factor where people are around and seeing what's happening, and because there's multiple people around, nobody will do anything. It's like everybody will go into a freeze mode. Okay? It's like nobody knows what to do first. It's kind of like a football team being on the field and they did not discuss what play or anything, and somebody hikes the ball, and say these people haven't even trained together before. They just went out on the field for an experiment, and they get in their positions and somebody hikes the ball. It kind of look crazy because nothing was discussed, nothing was planned, nothing was organized for people to know what they need to do. And that's how these situations often end up. And people are like having to react to a traumatic event. So honestly, I hate that situations like that even take place to begin with, because like I said, it is a very traumatic event when you see something like that happening, because it goes against a lot of what society has taught, and it makes a person feel helpless. But because these things are not planned for, like I'm gonna tell you straight up, to why some people, a whole nother reason why some people are afraid to do anything. Some people know that the minute they intervene, they're gonna die. They know that their force or any type of intervention they try to engage in with law enforcement would more than likely possibly equal a death sentence. And they be trying to avoid that. So, and then there's the other factor. They don't know for certain if someone or somebody else would have their back, since there's so much fear in the equation. But I'm gonna tell you this, like, if something like that is going down and some people do interfere to like try to save somebody's life, you would have to have people, specific people, recording it, who could get all the footage of that intervention and get that footage out everywhere before conclusions could be made about what actually happened were put into the media. A lot of people feel like the minute they were to intervene or do something like that to prevent loss of life or damage to somebody's body, man, they don't want to be framed. They don't want to be the criminal. You know? They don't want to be the bad guy. And often, you know, when a person is in a situation where they have to go against authority like that, it's like everybody knows that you will be assumed to be the bad guy, especially with black people. Especially with black people. Black people, we understand this term like guilty until proven innocent. And not just black people, other people too. But I know in the black community, a lot of time we understand guilty till proven innocent. It's supposed to be innocent till proven guilty. But it's guilty till proven innocent in a lot of situations and circumstances. And history shows this, such as the present day, man. So people want to know that, I guess, the truth will be told about what happened with them, because it's so corrupt. And I mean, like Malcolm X, one of the people that said, once the media get a hold of something, like, they can spin it, man. And only people, man, only people know it really happened to people that were there. And then them people might be so scared they don't want to say anything. So, fear is demonic because it suppresses, and it I could say it doesn't allow people to live, man. It holds people hostage. So, that's just my take on why people pull out their phones instead of intervening. Like, people, I guess, feel like they do what they can because it's not something that's planned. It's not something that's organized. It's not something a person was prepared for. Most people do not wake up in the morning and go outside of their homes and into the communities with the mindset that they're going to intervene in a police situation. That's not how people think. We're not even brought up to think. People who, criminals don't even think like that. Like, So that's just food for thought. That's my thoughts on why that takes place. Shalom.